So the mail-in ballots are not just in blue states. People need to understand that. We're actually have a full segment on that a little bit later in the show. I also want to touch on something you just said, because this is really important. And you know what? I came to that realization about 2 weeks ago. I was going back through my notes because I'm prepping all this stuff, as we know that action is going to be taken very soon. And I was looking at Venezuela and Smartmatic and what we'd actually said in 2020, like December of 2020 and November of 2020, Mike. Like you said, we had probably 90% of it. I didn't realize that all along until I started looking back at my notes and my posts on social media and what other people had said, like yourself, like Sidney Powell. For the most part, they just found these tiny little technicalities that they used, right? That they tried to discredit everything we were saying, but it was well documented. It gives me chills, actually. It gave me chills because I saw how over target, and it explained why people like you and I were hit so hard and why it was so important to take away our voices and cancel us, because we were pretty close to the full truth 5 years ago. So it's very interesting to see this all come into fruition.
Right, but Emerald, I want, and I've said this before, you guys can watch it on Lindell TV, how we got here. That speech I gave 2 years ago, so it's the only one where I used a teleprompter. The president let me use his teleprompter, and it was so important. In that speech, everybody, it says, hey, you look back and say, wow, just thinking back then it was so devastating as they kept suppressing the truth, and we're all just going, oh no, now they stole the election and Biden's in, and I've said it before, the miracle here is, everybody, that it didn't get turned over that back then. They were their own worst enemy. Evil was that they held it down enough to have the last 4.5 years happen, because we needed those last 4.5 years in more ways than you can ever imagine. People's eyes got open. People came to the Lord. People came to all these bad things going on. You look back and they're actually meant to be. God had a plan, and we're living that plan. We're living. He's given us grace for such a time as this. I'm excited now to see it all, like you say, coming out, and it's all going to come out. Yes, we were 100% right back then, but they were very good. They had a plan. They went into the biggest panic ever, it was like whack-a-mole for them. This guy pops up, boom, you're done. But that people stayed the course and kept courageous and kept going. And courage is contagious. More and more people got on board, but we owe a lot to that great man in this White House that he stayed the course. And God working through him, he's getting things done faster and better than anyone in history. But we can't let it be in vain, everybody. We've got to get rid of the machines, go to paper ballots and count it like every other country in the world.